All right. Hi, everybody. Happy Labor Day weekend. Hopefully you're resting and, you're all caught up on your schoolwork and things are going well. So I think Mac will be hosting the first half of this meeting, talking about, I don't remember what her topic is, but I have the other half of the meeting, which is going to be as requested, kind of a section about mental health, and not, I guess, just, yes, in general, but mostly just centered around mental health during COVID, like with all this change and stuff. I feel like it's pretty common for you to hear that people are stressed because everything's changing, or maybe they're stressed financially. And I know like a lot of things happen once quarantine came around. Some people lost their jobs, just in generally speaking, and that could lead to like financial stress, could apply to like familial situations, and maybe there's a variety of things that can really cause a lot of stress just in these times right now. And so I kind of wanted to talk about some strategies or coping mechanisms that can kind of like recenter yourself in these times of change, and kind of help you hopefully to become a little bit more resilient, and just overall a stronger, more healthy person in the brain. So I did do quite a bit of research, and a couple things that I thought was important just off of like what I've been reading, is one thing that is important is while you're thinking about, your stress levels or what you have going on in your life, or, what you got to get done, or when's the next time you have to work or whatever, it's important to think about your level of control. There are some things that you may have control over and some things you don't, but because it's common for most people to, become easily fixated on, events or things that we don't have control over, and that can just inherently cause more stress in our lives. So maybe make that more of like a positive thing and say, okay, I don't have control over this, so what do I have control over, and how is this going? And like, what can I change about it? What can I do better with it? And just think about that kind of stuff. What can I take responsibility for in this situation, and how am I gonna like kick butt in it? So I guess it's kind of like practicing like self-compassion in a way as well. So like trying not to be like super hard on yourself for things that you can't control, because at the end of the day, you can't control them. Like there's no reason to beat yourself up over things that you can't control. So another thing is check in with your thought patterns. If you find yourself thinking negatively, or about like the what ifs, or again like the stuff that we can't control, especially in a time of change, it's good to reflect on that and then make a conscious effort to kind of gear your thoughts in a more positive direction. So not everything is going to be a black or white in these times right now, because really a lot of things are up in the air. And it's important not to always think that like the worst is going to occur, because that can kind of put you like in a crisis mindset, or like preparing for a crisis kind of thing. So try to like slow down your mind, and practice like relaxation techniques. And yes, I'm not like a therapist or like a counselor or anything, so I have some links that I'm going to share with you all, that'll be in the email that we're sending out, that will kind of give you hopefully some new techniques on like how to practice those relaxation techniques, like deep breathing or mindfulness, and stuff like that. And I know there are, like, from what I've heard in the meeting so far, like a lot of you like to listen to podcasts. So I included like a little link of like kind of like a podcast-esque thing that I do want everybody to listen to, because there's some accredited people speaking on this topic, and it's just like they address, you know, some questions that are really popular right now, and it's just like a good listen. So if you like podcasts, this will be kind of fun for you, maybe to listen to while you're like cleaning or cooking or whatever, or just like on your own free time, and that's maybe the only thing you're doing. If you don't like podcasts, I just recommend you watch the video. It's kind of like a cool thing to learn about. I found it pretty interesting. And then let's see, another thing is be in the present. Don't think too much about the future if you're so like a worrier. I'm definitely a worrier when it comes to like the future. I'm like, okay, well, what if this happens? Okay, what if, like, if I don't do this now, it's gonna bother me later? Like, yeah, it's important to think about that, but maybe not so much like in a negative mindset. Trying, like, it would be important and beneficial for you to, you know, again, like, gear those thoughts more in a positive direction, you know, and like gas yourself up. I think that's also really great and beneficial. Like sometimes, you know, when I find myself in a rut, or like in a mental rut, I guess, I have like a mantra that I say to myself, you know, in those times, and I find it kind of comforting. Like, you know what, like I got this, and you know, it's just a rough moment. Let me breathe, let me go take a bath, and then we'll come back. So, you know, just kind of working on that. Another thing to kind of like recenter yourself is like finding your priorities. If you feel like you're a little scrambled and maybe you're just kind of like scatterbrained, it might, you know, help to write down, okay, what are my priorities for the day? Let's list them from 1 to 5 in order, 1 being the most important or of most priority, and you know, kind of like attack the tasks in that way. That way you can feel a little bit more organized, or like time, you know, oriented, and or like you may feel more in control. That's something that you can control. So that might help you out if, you know, you're this kind of person that you feel like you could benefit from. But I do encourage everybody to try these things, you know, at least a couple times. You can't knock it till you try it. You never know. So I did kind of touch on self-compassion, and I kind of did want to go into why it's important. So normally, okay, so I guess like you can think about it this way. The way that you talk to yourself, is that the way that you would talk to your friend? Self-compassion is kind of crazy in how it like works with your brain, and like whatever you like feed into your own thoughts, like whatever you allow your thoughts to become is how your brain's going to end up, you know, having the habit of thinking in that manner. And it's a lot of people call it like the mind-body connection. And if you know, or if you're constantly treating yourself negatively, like in your brain, like, gosh, I wish I could have done this better, or man, like I definitely need to do this and I'm just so bad at it, and blah blah blah, like whatever, like always, that's so common nowadays. But one thing that's like really helpful in terms of mental health, especially in a time of change, is just like allowing yourself to like, you know, be okay with where you're at. Like everybody's in the same boat. We're all kind of like, you know, in a little bit of a, I don't know if I get to like a panic, but everybody's just kind of stressed out, and you know what, that's okay. So what can you do to, you know, make yourself less stressed? Practice mindfulness, or, you know, go exercise at 5 minutes a day, or 30 minutes a day, or whatever it is, as long as it's healthy. You know, and making sure that you're not like overindulging in harmful activities like drinking, or you know, negative self-talk, you know, whatever you can think of. So the way that self-compassion works is, there's a couple of exercises that I found, and it does take a little bit of practice. It's definitely something hard to get out of if you're a little bit more of like a negative self-talker. but it does take practice. But one, you need to talk to yourself as you would a friend. Like, would you tell your friend you could have really done that better? No, you wouldn't. I mean, hopefully you wouldn't. So, just, flip the way that you're addressing those comments. Like, oh, well, I kind of failed at this. I failed at this thing this time, but you know what? I'll get it next time. But these are the steps I need to take to get there. Also, practicing mindfulness meditation. That's a really good way to kind of like get your foot in the door for self-compassion, because it allows you just to kind of like be in the present moment and think about how you're feeling, think about what's going on in your life, because you deserve that. And then, afterwards, after that, little exercise that you did, you'll feel good. Like, hey, like I designated, or I had 5 minutes to myself. Like, that's good, self-compassion. Like, I owe it to myself, and that's like a really good way to, talk to yourself about it. Another thing that I think is actually really interesting that I found was to write a love letter to yourself, like a loving letter. So it just says, kind of focus on what you might be struggling with about yourself, but have compassion, caring, and kindness towards it. So give yourself advice you think this, like a friend would give. So even small amounts of self-compassion can make an important difference. So, kind of, I guess, act as your own therapist, maybe, like in this loving letter. And that could maybe help, just writing down your feelings and, pretending to be your own friend, and giving yourself advice like, hey, like, this is what I would do in this situation. And that might just kind of help you feel better about yourself if you're kind of beating yourself up at this time, or you're just really stressed. So I'm not gonna really talk your ear off too much, because most of this stuff that I found was like videos or like guided things that I want you all to do. The time that I had to talk, plus these videos, should be about my portion of the training, and I will be kind of asking you questions about these videos to make sure everybody watched them. So please just like really take the time and just like kind of absorb the information, because I really do think it'll be beneficial. I try to incorporate a bunch of different techniques, just because, like, I know not everybody is the same, and I know some people are maybe really busy. Okay, so I have an exercise for people who are really busy. If you cannot sit still for more than 5 minutes, like I've always struggled with that, okay, I have a walking meditation for you, which I've tried before, and I think it's really cool. I have one for like in moments of like high stress, high anxiety, like high levels of emotion that, can kind of maybe trigger those like negative self-talk moments, like, oh, I'm so mad, whatever. I have like a really cool exercise that I actually learned in one of my support groups. Super weird, but in like moments that like I am just really crazy mad, I find this exercise kind of like funny, or like relieving, I guess, in a way, because it's super different. It's like a technique called the lion's breath technique, and you can incorporate it in like yoga, in your yoga routines, or and whatnot. But even if you're just sitting at your desk and nobody's around, you should definitely try doing this if you're really stressed. For me, it just makes me feel kind of silly, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like that was funny, and then I'm no longer mad. And then I did one for journaling. They're really short exercises. You don't need to buy a journal. You can just write this down on a piece of paper and post it up on a wall or something and practice it at least a couple of days. But they're really short activities. Like literally you write down a list of things that you're grateful for in that day. And it's like 2 to 5 things. And then there's like a few more things, like journaling topics that you can do in that same day. It won't even take 10 minutes. And that's the thing about this stuff is you have to know, like, taking care of yourself isn't, I mean, if you want it to be, it can be like a 5-hour commitment you have every day, but even 10 minutes is like really rewarding. And you know, a lot of people have these excuses like, oh my gosh, I'm so busy, I just can't, blah blah. I'm like, yes, you can. Even if it's at the end of the day and you're showering and you're ready to go to bed, do it in the shower. Like, just meditate in the shower. And you know, just like give yourself that time. Or you could just do it in bed right before you fall asleep, or maybe in the morning when you're having breakfast. I don't know, you figure it out. You can do it, I promise you. And if you like commit to this stuff, I really hope that this stuff helps you, because I know some of the stuff definitely helps me. But yeah, and it's kind of like a balancing act, like figuring out how much self-care you want to do each day or each week. But you definitely owe it to yourself, because y'all are hardworking people. I know most of you had 2 jobs, and you know, or you have like 18 credit hours this semester, and it's unbelievable the kind of people we are. We are robots, hardworking machines that literally never stop. But it doesn't always have to be that way, you know. So yeah, so thanks for listening. I will send these links with like a description so that you know which link you're clicking on when you get that email. And I will post a couple like articles, just like quick 5-minute reads, just to like maybe give you other tips or strategies if you know, maybe didn't find these videos helpful, because I know not everybody's the same. But yeah, all right, so that should be it, and I hope you guys have a good rest of the day.